They say grief can make you see things. Shadows in the corners, voices in your dreams, a familiar scent in an empty room. But what if grief doesn't just trick you? What if it invites something else in? It had been 7 weeks since my mother's funeral. The house still smelled like her. Lilacs, tea, and the faint trace of her perfume that clung to the curtains. I hadn't changed a thing. Her slippers were still by the door. Her mug sat by the sink with a ring of cold tea inside. She died suddenly, heart failure in her sleep. Peaceful, the doctor said. But there was nothing peaceful about the silence she left behind. Every night I sat in her favorite chair, replaying her voicemails just to hear her voice again. Sometimes I'd talk back to them. Sometimes I swore I could feel her there with me. But on the 49th night, the silence broke. It was just past midnight. I was in bed when I heard it. The sound of the kettle whistling downstairs. That same soft shrill my mother used to make tea every morning. I froze. I lived alone. At first, I thought maybe I'd left the burner on by accident. But when I went downstairs, the stove was cold. The kettle was whistling. But it wasn't on the stove. It sat in the middle of the kitchen table, steaming. And beside it, a teacup. My mother's teacup. The one I'd buried with her. The next morning, I called my best friend, Claire, told her everything. She said it was grief hallucinations, that my mind was trying to comfort me. Maybe she was right. But then, the next night came. I woke at 2:14 a.m. to the sound of humming, a tune I hadn't heard since I was a child. My mother used to hum it to me when I was sick, sitting at my bedside, brushing my hair from my forehead. I followed the sound to the living room. The lamp was on, though I hadn't turned it on. The recliner, her recliner, was gently rocking back and forth. The smell of lilacs filled the air, stronger than before. "Mom?" I whispered. The chair stopped moving. I felt something behind me, a soft brush of fingers on my shoulder. I spun around, but no one was there. Only the faint sound of footsteps going upstairs. That was the night I started dreaming again. In the dream, I was back in our old house. My mother sat in her chair, hair perfectly brushed, eyes bright. She smiled just like before and said, "Why are you crying, sweetheart?" "I'm still here." I ran to hug her, but when I got close, her face shifted. Her smile stretched too wide. Her eyes went dark. Not black, just hollow, like something had scooped them out. Her voice deepened. I said, "I'm still here." I woke up screaming. 3 nights later, Claire came over. She said I needed rest, needed people around me. We sat in the kitchen, drinking wine, laughing about old memories. For the first time in weeks, I felt okay. Then, at 9:46 p.m., the hallway light flickered. Claire frowned. "Did you see that?" Before I could answer, the front door creaked open. I ran to it. No one was there, but the doormat was soaked, like someone had just come in from the rain, except it hadn't rained in days. Claire picked up something from the floor. A photo. It was a picture of me and my mother, from when I was 8, torn down the middle. Only my mother's half remained. "Where did you get this?" Claire whispered. I buried that with her," I said. Claire looked at me, then at the stairs. "I think someone's up there." And then, from the top of the staircase came a voice, soft, familiar, sweet. "Sweetheart, why are you crying?" My blood ran cold. Claire backed toward the door. "Who's that?" she whispered. But I knew that voice. I knew it. "Mom?" I said, my throat tight. Then she stepped into view. It was her. Same nightgown, same soft gray hair, but her skin looked too pale, almost waxy. Her smile was the same, but her eyes were wrong. They weren't my mother's warm, brown eyes. They were the color of glass, milky, dead, reflecting nothing. "Don't you recognize me, sweetheart?" she said. I couldn't move. Claire grabbed my arm, whispering, "That's not her. Don't go closer." But I couldn't stop myself. I took a step forward. The air around her grew cold, like walking into a freezer. I could see her breath, fog curling from lips that shouldn't have been breathing. "Come give your mother a hug," she said softly. I shook my head. "You're gone. You're not real." Her smile dropped. "You don't believe me?" Then she began to cry. Thick, black tears rolled down her cheeks, staining her gown. Her voice cracked, trembling like a child's. "Why won't you love me anymore?" Claire screamed, and the thing snapped its head toward her, bones cracking with the motion. In the blink of an eye, it was at the bottom of the stairs. The lights exploded. The whole house went dark. "Run!" Claire yelled. We bolted for the door, but it slammed shut before we reached it. Something moved in the shadows, fast crawling along the ceiling, whispering. It sounded like my mother's voice, over and over. "I'm still here, still here, still here." I grabbed the fireplace poker and swung blindly. The sound stopped. When the lights flickered back on, she was gone. Only the chair rocked, slow and steady. We left that night. I never went back. The next day, when the police checked the house, they found the walls covered in scratches, long, deep gouges like fingernails dragging through wood. In my mother's old room, the mirror was shattered. Across the glass, written in what looked like dried blood, were the words, "Let me in." A few weeks later, I got a call from the coroner's office. They said my mother's coffin had been disturbed. The lid was cracked. The body was missing. No footprints. No sign of a break-in. Just one thing left behind inside the coffin, a photo. The same photo Claire found in the house. Only this time, it was my half missing. Sometimes, late at night, my phone rings from an unlisted number. I don't answer anymore, but when I listen to the voicemails, it's always the same voice, my mother's voice. Sweetheart, it's cold down here. Why won't you let me in? And sometimes, when I glance at the window, I see a shadow standing outside, a woman, smiling, waiting. And every time I have to remind myself, that's not your mother.